Hey guys, Cool Blonde Way back. I'm Rick.
I'm Maggie.
We are back with Fruits Basket. Last time on
Episode 9, we finally saw Kyo and Akito go head to head. And
yeah, well, we saw their bet from years ago that's still in place of if Kyo can beat Yuki by the time he graduates, he'll welcome him into the Zodiac, but if not, he'll lock him into the cage until the day he dies.
do you think Akito's been making that bet with the cats? Like, if it's Akito or Akito's forebears, who knows, has been making that bet with the cats for millennia?
Yeah, I mean, we postulated last time, is Akito immortal? Is he the same one that put Kyo's grandfather in the cage, or is this a new head of the family?
He.
How does all this work? Also, Corino. Didn't really get much about him last time, but I'm very curious.
But apparently, Akito described Kurino as a member of the Zodiac?
Yes, that's true. Which might be one of the last missing pieces,
The
or
rooster.
the last missing piece.
Yeah,
The
the rooster
rooster.
is the last one.
Maybe we'll see this time.
Yeah.
But
Imagine if it's a man-sized rooster.
yeah, Akito is really bringing down the mood. He's causing Kyo and Yuki to regress, but not to the point to where they were before. So it's like a test, a trial for them, but
It's The Empire Strikes Back. It's okay. This is the most that...
this is the darkest chapter.
Yeah, this is the darkest chapter. And then it's just all up here from now.
I hope so. I don't think we're done yet with Akito and the beach. So I think we'll still have some trials to go, but can't wait to get on the other side of them and be all happy. We need to get our friends here.
I think we need Uotani here.
We need
to
Uotani
just
and
do
Wave
some
Girl.
Beaten up. And Hanajima, how dare you just call her Wave Girl?
Wave Girl!
She's amazing. And if they really need help, they'll just call in Megumi. And then...
I wish they could call in Psycho from Haikyuu. I wish that these existed in the same universe.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it.
The gauntlet's been thrown.
Is it just me, or did Toru transform from a girl to a woman in this episode? Something even about the voice acting that was a little deeper. I don't know. I just got that feeling.
I think she got the goal. She got a focus. I mean, she's been asking questions for a couple seasons now. But, what's holding them back? I mean, this is a question she's known that there's an answer to for a while. And she finally just got it, thrown in her face.
Yeah, and it's so Toru to understand and be compassionate that, the curse is also
On Akito.
on Akito as well. However, that does work, but... So yeah, he's God,
To them.
whatever that means.
To the Zodiac.
Yeah, in this particular scenario. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I remember from the beginning where it was telling about the thing where, God invited them all to the banquet.
Yeah.
But,
I mentioned it before that, maybe that's Akito or whatever. But,
also, what God is that in the Japanese mythology,
I mean, yeah, it's it's definitely not, how we would think of it as Westerners.
Yeah.
But definitely with power over them. But I don't really see... It's he invited them all to a banquet in the story, but it wasn't specified as being an unchanging banquet.
Well, yeah. I mean, with what Yuki said here, there's always a summer, but every summer's different. And, there's always banquets. In America, you have Christmas banquets and Thanksgiving. In Japan, they have different ones. But,
It's
you celebrate it kind of, you have traditions, you do things the same way, but the people are older and
But
more people
every
join the
year-
family, and some people leave the family for one reason or
every
another.
year the animal changes.
Yeah.
So maybe the position of God is supposed to rotate.
And the banquet, I wouldn't define any of those holidays as like a peak happiness, you know? Like I feel like a peak happiness is like a sustainable happiness. That is like you're happy in life in general, you know? Not like you're happy because it's Christmas. Like that's not the peak in happiness, I don't feel like.
Yeah, like the sort of happiness Akito thinks can exist is like the sort that's not sustainable just because your body would die from the drugs.
Really tough watching Momiji in this, especially like just that idea of like a kid watching their dad hit their mom, kind of, you know, and not being able to do anything to stop it or change it. Good on him though for going and getting the two big boys.
Yeah, I mean, and good on the rest of the kids for not like.
I mean, it's tough. Like, I don't know what their limitations are, you know? Like, what would happen if they would attack him?
I mean, even the adults didn't go out there until Akito was gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and, you know, if they really are supernaturally limited, like, they have to work with what they can the best, you know? And,
Yeah.
like, they decided the best in that situation is not to make him angrier. Because if they tried to confront him, you know, it would be like pissing on the dragon. And like, you know, you can't do anything to fight the dragon. You just gotta let the dragon do what it's gonna do and let it leave. But Toru can fight the dragon.
Yeah, I mean,
Rock the dragon.
the funny thing is like the stuff that Akito was telling her and such. It's like automatically like that's not going to. That's the stuff she tries to tell herself.
Toru?
Like, yeah, about like you're not going to be invited and they don't value you and such. But we constantly see her working through that sort of stuff.
You're not special.
Yeah, you're not special, that sort of thing. She's learned to value herself and what she does, and she really focuses on making other people see their own value as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, immediately, what Akito was going after, it's like, that's not, I don't think that's going to work. Usually when Akito starts up, like, that weird, like, Vulcan mind meld stuff, like, it's like, oh, that's their weakest link, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that stuff's going to work on Toru.
I don't think so either. Like, the biggest thing he can do to Toru is punish the others, right? Like, the whole whipping boy thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Where, like, you can't whip the prince, but you can whip the prince's friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that's what he can do to affect her mostly, is that. So that'll be a tightrope that she has to walk, you know? And, I mean, she just has to learn more about the curse. And
Are they forbidden from talking about it?
I don't know. Like, is there... You know, obviously, this whole thing is a folklore that everyone in the culture knows. So, like, is there...
Is there stuff we don't know?
Well, maybe. But, like, are there, you know, scrolls? Like, ancient scrolls or whatever of, like, talking about this that isn't culturally known but has been recorded somewhere?
I don't know. Like... Is that just one part in a larger pantheon of stories?
Maybe. And
like are we hearing just the story of when, like, from Norse mythology, are we just hearing the story of when, like, Loki got into so much trouble he got to be tied to a rock and poison dripping inside and such? Are we just hearing, like, one single part of, like, a huge collection of stories involving, like, this setup? I don't know. But...
Also, what caused Akito to go back? Like, why'd they call him? Did Shigure orchestrate that call? Did he, like...
I don't know. Kakura's at the estate, or at least she was. Like, did the
could be.
boar run wild?
Because Shigure said Rin is causing trouble, but she wasn't there. She's...
Yeah, maybe they know she was gone.
Maybe, but I don't feel like him coming back would fix that, you know? Necessarily. Like, him coming back would be like he needs to talk to someone and, like, influence them somehow.
Maybe it's an out of family, like, issue.
Maybe. But I'm glad that's over. we can go back to some happiness for a little bit. But I definitely want.
You think so?
I want.
I need a war table round meeting. Uotani and Hanajima and like.
I want Shigure to play his next move.
I mean.
Also.
Is it okay? Do you think that they are going to bring in anybody else to know about the Zodiac? Like Toru made a promise not to tell anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So like she can't, but like she just got introduced to Kurano.
Well, maybe. I mean, people outside the Zodiac family have known, right? They've like married people.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Toru basically bringing out the big guns, like her friends or her people.
It could be. Like Hattori has the ability to make people forget.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably something that, I don't know if it's particular to the dragon, but that's probably a power in the family that has existed from the beginning. I don't know if Akito also has that power. Like, does Akito have everything that they have? Because if he's a god in the way Westerners think of gods, like that would make sense. But
well, that would explain the need for worship.
Yeah, and that could be the thing too. It could be like Sam Neill's Merlin, right? Where Mab has no power
because no one believes
because
in her?
no one believes in her. You know,
I always like that.
It's great. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great. But I can't help but wonder like how the cat fits in, because in the stories like the cat didn't go to the feast.
Yeah, I'm sure the cat isn't a part of every telling of the tale, you know?
But the fact that the cat is a part of a tale and didn't go to the feast, was there like the fact that there was an invitation means that they could have not gone. Right? There wasn't like an order, it was an invitation.
Well, yeah, like the cat was invited, but the cat slept through it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
so because the cat spurned the god, the cat was especially cursed. I think is how it goes.
But what if it was actually like some sort of a bad deal that like they agreed to, like a contract made, and the cat's not applicable to some of those bits?
I could definitely see that, but Kyo seems as affected as any of them.
That's
you know?
what I was wondering.
Like,
but,
he's not going out there and punching Akito.
But the fact that the cat has to be locked up for their entire life means that the cat has power or can't be influenced in the way that the rest of them can.
So you think that
controlled.
Akito is locking up the cat, or the god locks up the cat because the god is afraid of the cat? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, something like that. Like there is something about
It's reasonable.
the cat that is not being controlled, or is.
Yeah, and like adolescent cat isn't scary, so let it go free. But as soon as it matures, like that's something that can't be dealt with, or not easily, maybe.
Maybe he's the key to breaking the curse.
Maybe. Like, but I mean, being locked up would probably also do it too. But it seemed like everyone was on the same page that like the grandpa went crazy, you know? Right?
Who went crazy?
The grandpa, who was the cat that was locked up.
Were any of them alive during that time?
Yeah.
I thought he was locked up like the same way the rest of them had been, because like not because he murdered somebody, but because he'd like gotten too old and they just decided that sort of thing. But I don't remember it clearly though.
I mean, Master had talked about him as if he had seen him. I feel like Kyo's dad did. And I feel like Kyo did too. So I feel like people interacted with him, and I got the impression that he was like beyond reason or saving or whatever. But I could be misremembering.
But someone had a connection with the cat where they saw him. It was like, what didn't Master talk about, like seeing his grandfather?
Yeah.
And it was just like kind of a kind old man, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the flashback.
Because the master is the grandchild, so that means that the cat had to have had children.
Yeah, that's what we saw. But I guess we were told something different. But we're told from people who might not be reliable.
Yeah, we got some unreliable narrators here, and all of these freaking Zodiac members that have had purple tentacles in their brains.
So, moving on to Rin. It seemed like Yuki understood while Rin was there when they were talking about, like, protecting someone. So I guess, like, Rin is separating herself to protect Hattori. Not Hattori. Hatsuharu. Which, I mean, you know, makes sense, because Akito will just punch anybody. Or worse. Much worse.
Has she ever stated...
Toru?
Yeah, Toru. Has she ever stated a want before? Like full agency want.
I think so, but a lot of it's been other people.
I want for others.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know. So maybe this doesn't break the mold. I just felt like she was becoming a active protagonist a bit.
Well, yeah, like I was saying, where I felt like she changed from a girl to a woman. Like, yeah, it felt like she became much more...
She took her place on the board, maybe, and rather than just being protected along the outside.
Yeah, she realized that she has agency in the situation. And she does actually have agency in the situation.
Yeah.
And really, like, that's what adulthood means in a lot of cases. Of like,
so many people don't even realize that as adults, though, that they're in control.
Yeah, just like the level of agency that you can project and have.
Yeah, but I think she also realized the absolute power that Akito had over everybody else, and that none of them were going to be able to do anything. Like, pretty sure she'd been asking that question, like, why don't you go against Akito, that sort of thing, or at least thinking that in her mind.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be the simple thing of like vampires, you know, in some mythologies, like a vampire that turns someone else into a vampire, that vampire can't attack the vampire that turned them.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, you know, or like they cannot self-terminate. Where like, you know, he's the sort of, like they're all one unit and they can't hurt each other to the point of like death or something. Although that doesn't explain why they're afraid of the cat then. Unless the thing of the cat is like, the secret's going to be out. Like we can't, you know, this thing's going to transform. It's going to rampage if we don't lock it up. So therefore we have to keep it under key for like public perception.
It's not like Kyo goes all werewolf and is like totally out of his mind.
No, not yet.
I mean, I can understand if he transformed as like a little tiny child that doesn't understand and only understands that, oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah. But the other thing too could be, you know, he's not transforming because of the bracelet, and the bracelet has so much power, but once it gets so powerful, like he has to be in like a sacred room, you know? Like,
is the bracelet the curse?
I don't know, maybe, but it's also possible
just controlling one of the symptoms.
That the prison, you know, if there's some bone of the monk in the blood of the monk in the bracelet, like maybe they sacrificed a boatload of monks to build that prison, you know?
Inside it's just a book. It's like, oh, the Necronomicon. Human skin. Oh, gosh. Imagine if you had to live somewhere that every single item in there was just made out of human. Oh, yuck. And also, neat idea.
You gotta use
dark fantasy.
Every part of the human. Yeah, it was interesting hearing Akito.
How did the god line up to be the head of the family? Or is it just determined? Like, how did they tell? Is the god always the head of the family? Or did it just line up like that?
I guess the broader question is Akito the god and these are all spiritual descendants of the original animals? Or is there a higher god that has cursed this family to reenact that story? Like, are they all divine? Or have they all been affected by the divine?
I don't know. But I mean, to be fair, we're also acting like there's only one god.
No.
Maybe one god cursed another god.
Well, yeah, I mean, there certainly isn't. Like, there's the different gods and the different grains, and there's a goddess in the sumo.
The doyo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also speaking of the curse, like I do believe they have, like, the key to fixing it is probably within Akito or all of them, basically. But due to the nature of the curse, it's probably one of these self-fulfilling, like, I mean, you don't give someone a curse or something with the basis that, like, it has its own set end time. Mm-hmm. So that's why Akito thinks that the banquet should be eternal and unchanging.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the show is a metaphor, and it also deals directly with, like, mental illness. And, like, when it comes to, like, negative thought patterns and things, like, a lot of times that's not something you can yourself break out of because you can't recognize it happening. Mm-hmm. So it can take someone from the outside of that in order to recognize it and, inform you, and then you can understand, like, oh, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, you're right. And then be conscious of it there going forward. So I kind of feel like Toru is that enlightenment almost, or the outside counselor or therapist.
Yeah.
With the greater curse of the Soma family, which is like a depression or...
Yeah. So if like the inner sickness is like within Akito, and Akito has control of like all of these peripheral agents being the Zodiac members with varying degrees, and uses them to control and continue the narrative, Toru making the outside ones healthy before she attacks the center one, I mean, it makes sense as like the process.
Yep. Trauma Center taught me that. Well, yeah, like,
Mental Health Trauma Center.
You haven't seen all of Gurren Lagann yet. You should say in the comments that Maggie should watch the rest of Gurren Lagann, because she refuses. I
just said I needed time, and you were mean to make me watch the next episode so soon. There's
a moment that I want to talk about that is sort of a metaphor for what we're talking about, but I can't yet. So instead, let's talk about Berserk. You're supposed to hit the button. Thank you guys so much for watching our reaction to Fruits Basket. If you want to see more right now, you can over at patreon.com/blindwave. Also, check out the official Twitch archive channel for Blindwave over on YouTube, or the VODs over on Twitch, because there's hours and hours of video game content over there. I'm playing Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Check it out live Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.